Welcome to Seer and Higher Self, the decree. This is decree number 9, and it is the inner child healing. The decree is a series of free YouTube videos. And so you can go at your own pace, but I ask that you do start from the first video. So the first 5 videos describe the decree process, and it's really important because you're preparing your nervous system and your body, and that really helps stabilize your 5D frequency. So in the first video is a welcome video describing what the decree is. And then the second video, so part 2, is naming your space. And why is naming your space important? Anything that is not claimed, basically interference can come in. So our bodies, we claim our bodies in source's name. We claim our homes in source's name. I claim this Zoom recording in source's name. And I claim the inner child healing decree in source's name. And you can also say, the name of that you find the name of your space. That's part 2. So you say the name of your space and then you claim it in source's name. And then you can say, I seal it in source's name. And all else is refused entry from source. So that's how powerful sealing and claiming your space in source's name is. 3D is all about interference. And then part 3 is preparing your space. So interference can't enter what is claimed in source's name. And then part 4 is having plants. Plants help hold a frequency, like flowers, like essential oils. They hold a frequency in the space. And so claiming the 4 corners of every room in source's name, and then you can spritz it with like peppermint, or just use a little bit of essential oils and then just spritz it in the corner. And then also put a little pinch of salt in the 4 corners. And so I had a lot of interference, so I kind of learned this the hard way. And then I figured out what worked in terms of keeping a stable frequency in your home, in your workspace, in your car. But especially with the plants and the essential oils, make sure they're safe for your pets and your children. Like rue, mint, sage, cedar is toxic if eaten with cats and dogs. So I'm thinking more of cats. And thank you. Somebody had left a comment asking about that, about asking about their cats. So thank you. And then part 5 is technology decree, which is the most powerful thing for light workers. So if you think of yourself as a starseed, an empath, a sensitive, a black sheep, kind of like you don't buy into anything. You don't buy into anything. You're a light worker, meaning that you're here to bring in consciousness into a very dark, kind of dense system, which is 3D. 3D is very dark, and we've seen that darkness play out for 2,000 years. And part 6 is the body decree. So the best place to start is with the body first, because so much happens to our bodies. And then part 7 is the post decree. So what are some things you might experience after the decree? And then part 8 is the family decree. And then this is part 9, which is the inner child healing decree. So the inner child healing decree, we know and we can see that children stay in presence because they don't know how to leave. They are in absorbed attention when they do things. They just are. And then adults remain in presence because they know what it costs to leave, how uncomfortable it is, how horrible it feels for the body. And so they choose not to leave. So presence is now based through the heart. in the inner body. And presence is unconditional love. And presence asks for surrender, not because surrender is virtuous, but because there's nothing else that actually works in 3 and 4D earth. And you can see the cost of control. And so presence affirms I'm here. I remain in my body. And I'm home in my inner body. And as a seer, this work includes verification from the body. So the body is the golden key. So you will perceive things from your body, you will adjust, and then the confirmation comes with the integration, how you feel in your body. The guidance isn't complete until the body agrees. Your higher self is like your highest consciousness. And we don't know, some people do know what their highest consciousness is. But you are connected to God, source, divine presence. If you don't like the word God, because this is energy work, it's not religious, it is not spiritual. We're doing energy clearings. So use the word that resonates with your heart. So for me, it's source. And then your higher self is there to guide you to awakening your heart, connection to source in a 3D body, and remove any interference with the 3D body in 3 and 4D. And the interference is with source. So they're like overlays, or like there's kind of other words, but I find that that's the most gentle word, is like kind of like film or overlays or screens of interference. And then we're just removing the screens, removing the interference. And so why would you want to do a decree? Because cords are draining. Control cords manipulate you, they manipulate your thoughts, your emotions. The cords siphon your life force. Your energy is used for loosh. I think that's like a coined term, basically, like an energy siphoning. And then karma cords are basically like the false light, there to convince you to redo the same trauma with the same people over and over and over again and do reincarnation cycles. I went through, and I am conscious and aware of doing that 4 times, 4 lifetimes. 4 lifetimes, that's at least 400 years, or maybe thereabout. That's a lot of time spending the same with the same people, the same problems, where nothing gets resolved and nothing shifts, right? Because it's all about keeping you kind of trapped in that loose system. So Archons is an ancient name from the Gnostic teachings, and the contemporary name are the reptilians or the dark triad, so the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist. They control the 3D earth, the material world, and have done so for about 2,000 years. They're here to repeat patterns. They use spiritual and psychological mechanisms to confuse you, to drain you, to kind of keep you in fear in a very low vibration, a very low 3D. So as soon as you start asking questions, you're getting to about, you're starting to get to a higher level of 3D. So how they keep you in fear is, say you're about to have a breakthrough and a deeper understanding of yourself, and something puts you down into fear, confusion, distraction, chaos, doubt, foggy brain. You can't name what happened. That's usually an Archon reptilian interference. It's not random. It is part of the 3D structure, and it's not personal. And it's not like one of us has interference in 3D Like I hear it a lot where people say, "Oh, you have an entity and I don't." It's like it does not work like that. Entities are like a word to scare us so that we stay in fear, so we don't ask what's inside of us, and we don't ask to have it be cleared and look. It's used to manipulate us. So these energetic cords don't break because you move away physically. Distance doesn't sever energetic cords or connections. You can set boundaries mentally, but thoughts alone don't cut the cords. And so you find yourself feeling guilty, like you can't say no, or you're hooked into the same drama over and over again. And maybe even like the person that everybody, I hear this a lot, well, when the mom dies or when the dad dies, the trauma is going to finish. It's like they just get replaced by somebody else and don't feel hopeless. It's, they're interfering with you because you have a lot of consciousness, you have a lot of light, your source emanated being from your heart. So if you were nothing, you wouldn't be interfered with. Like nobody interferes with reptilians because there's nothing inside of them. They're empty. They're not source emanated, they're made. And that's why they need you. That's why the dynamic has always been an empath and uh or a light worker and a narcissist. Okay, so before you begin, choose your timing. Do it when you're ready and you're not rushed. So if you're uncertain, wait until you're certain. There's no rush. Like 3D is rush, 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 get to the next high, like this work is deep and it is meant to shift things in your life. So if you're uncertain, just wait until you're certain. There's no rush. Okay. So you need to be clear that you're ready and that you're choosing this, and make sure you have private time where you won't be interrupted. And emotional readiness, you may feel grief, like old memories might come up, anger might come up, fear may come up, sadness, but you're ready. Like I had this experience of, just before doing a decree where I felt so hopeless. Like it just felt like nothing can shift because it was a dynamic that went on in multiple lifetimes. And I just felt so weak. And then I was like, aha, yeah. Why has it been going on for multiple lifetimes? I learned this lifetime, I learned that lifetime, and I learned that lifetime, and then this lifetime, and it's the same. And then all of a sudden you had an awakening, right? So you might feel hopeless, but if you keep asking questions, when you ask questions, a lot of light from source goes onto that question. Okay. And then what do you need in terms of materials? Paper, like a piece of white paper. So we're not going to do more than one paper. We're not going to write a book. Okay. We're not going to write out all the details. We're going to keep this focused. Okay. And then a pen. And then we're going to write it by hand. So we're not going to type it and we're not going to go on our computers. Okay. So, and then prepare your fire source. So I suggest you do this in the kitchen or outside where it's safe and secure. And I, I have, because even if you burn it in a fireplace, there could be ashes from other things in the fireplace, but the ashes actually are important. So I just got a pot, can just be a simple pot, but it's a fireproof pot. And then I use tongs to hold the piece of paper once you light the piece of paper. And you can light the piece of paper like with a candle or with matches, but always have like a backup fire source because I have gone to burn my decree and my lighter stopped working. So, and then you just light kind of a couple corners or all three corners and then just hold it over your pot and then just let it burn. And then once it's going in, sometimes it can have a really large flame and it can be smoky because it's paper. So that's why I suggest doing it in the kitchen, and you can open a window or start the fan. And then once it's going to mostly ash, just drop it in your pot, and then it's going to turn mostly into ash. And then we want to make sure it's all burnt to ash. There's no paper. And if there's any paper, just note if it's somebody's name or what are the words that didn't burn. And then you say to those words or that piece of paper, and then pick up that tiny piece of paper, pick up the tiny piece of paper safely. And then don't use your hands like I just was about to, because I know that it's not like on fire. um, is you just say that I now release this in source's name and you're the boss. And then put a little bit of sea salt. So sea salt has traditionally, for 2000 years, multiple cultures has used as sealing protection. So just take a pinch of sea salt and put it on the ashes, and then you're going to flush the ashes down the toilet. And then rinse the pot a couple of times and then dump that water also in the toilet. And make sure all the ash goes down the toilet. I have seen the ash, when you flush the toilet, there's still some ash. How is that even possible? But I mean, th like once you burn it and it turns to ash and then you flush it down the toilet, it's done, right? So this is all kind of interference so that it's not done. So you keep redoing. Have oven mitts and, in a sink with, water next door, like very close. If you're burning it in a room, just make sure there's water close by and drink some water. Energy work is really dehydrating. So drink lots of tea and water. Herbal tea is really good. So safety matters. Okay, so you're going to do this very safely and very calmly. And, it can be very surprising because it's just one tiny piece of paper, folded 3 times, but it can actually have a lot of smoke or, quite a bit fire. It's kind of interesting, right? So then you know that it's more than a piece of paper that's being burned. And then just know that safety matters. Okay, so just keep safe. Okay, so the decree is a conscious sovereign act. It's a clear statement identifying what does not belong in your field, and you are releasing it. And it's not a request. It's not something hoped for. It is a direct decision spoken in your own voice. So the core principle is I am sovereign. I release what is not mine. It is done. So many people come in for sessions and from what other people have done, the money that was stolen or the harm that was done as a child. And, we're powerless because we're little, or they have the power. The liars, the cheaters, and the thieves, they control, usually the money and the resources, and they control children, right? So they control the helpless. The decree severance does not harm. It does not cause any harm. It releases harm to the root cause. You're releasing it because it's not yours. Especially as a child, when things happen to you, you didn't cause it to happen. You're little. The adult is responsible for what happened. So if you're harmed by an adult and you're a child, it is always the adult's responsibility. They are an adult. Okay, so the decree is done with eyes open, fully aware, speaking in your own voice. That's really important. Your voice carries frequency and resonance. And we're going to write it down. We're going to speak it out loud 3 times and then burn it. Just a single white page of paper. Hopefully it's blank and you don't have any lines on it. And then witnessing the shift in the body. Just notice what happens in your body when you're speaking it, and notice in your body how you're feeling when you're going through the process, and then notice how you're feeling when you're burning the decree. So you're witnessing the shifts in your body. And then the emphasis is on your awareness and your authority. All right. So shall we begin? Okay. We're doing this together. You can just pause the video whenever you want and can take a minute, drink some water. Let's drink some water again. Very good. Okay. So connecting to our hearts, connecting to our higher selves, connecting to source. As we land here in the present moment, connecting to our hearts. Good. Breathe in and breathe out. We are grounded in Gaia's, that's new 5D Earth, loving and supportive energy. And we're fully anchored with Gaia, connecting to the crystalline grid. And we give thanks to the ancestors of the land who have gone before us and walked this path with much love and respect. We draw strength from Gaia, and we are centered in our own being, grounded and connected. We're connecting through the heart to source as we sit quietly with the intention to connect to source directly. Good. Trust in the stillness. You don't need to do anything. Just allow yourself to be in presence together without expectation. We now open our hearts to source. Our hearts are the sacred gateway for divine love, wisdom, and healing. We are fully aligned with source energy, connected to all that there is with unconditional love through the golden light of our hearts. Invoking our higher self for clarity and alignment, we now call upon our higher self of unconditional love for answers, clearing, and alignment. May our higher selves be fully aligned with Source, guiding this session with love, clarity, and for the highest good of all, protecting this space with Source's golden light. We now surround this space with a golden shield of light, impenetrable and protective from Source. Only energies aligned with unconditional love, Source, and our highest good may enter. All interference, false guides, or disruptive energies are repelled by Source's golden light. May all guidance that comes through serve the highest good, bringing healing, clarity, and empowerment through Source. We now set the intention that all information and wisdom that comes through applies to all time, all space, and all dimensions, with the intention of clearing to the root causes and shifting energy across all realities. This energy work is permanent and aligned with the highest good of all, with Source. With the intention that all energies in this space are fully aligned with Source, unconditional love, and truth. Any energies that are not aligned for the highest good are now released and returned to Source for healing. We now reinforce the golden shield of protection around this space, and only energies of divine truth, love, are present. No false guides or interference can enter in Source's name. We claim this space. Okay. So now let's go into the actual writing of the decree. So the decree is an energetic severance. So it's energy work. So we're clearing all contracts, cords, vows, agreements, and they're dissolved and released. But we're not releasing them with love and light. That's bypassing, spiritual bypassing. You're basically affirming that you're no longer available for any games, delays, manipulations, interference. And you're declaring that loyalty is sacred, but not those who violate it. So even if their name is like father, brother, mother, sister, neighbor, whoever caused harm, respect needs to go both ways in the now and not later. So you can forgive as long as you're not engaging in the same toxic exchange, right? So the decree kind of clears your energies, and then there's no leaks. So your energy isn't leaking to them. So it's like every time you remember or have a memory, like, say you were physically abused, and then anytime someone kind of puts their hand up, you flinch, right? Because it's normal. And so you have that kind of memory in your body. So that's what you're releasing. You're releasing those kind of memories in the body, in the nervous system. And we're updating our Akashic records. So our Akashic records are the soul's complete history across all timelines. We're also updating the Book of Life. And the Book of Life is the divine record of all souls and their contracts. And then the tapestry is the interwoven web of connections, karma, and agreements. I was told through Dolores Cannon's work that they cannot be updated, but I don't believe that. I believe that is created by the 3 and 40 realm to keep looping, karma looping happening. And then the cosmic records, Toth, Thoth, is in charge of the cosmic records, and he is the guardian, and he is from the Egyptian expression or the Egyptian timeline. So this is the inner child healing decree for the records. So now let's call in the team as we land here in the present moment, connecting our hearts. Breathe in and out. We're grounded in Mother Earth's Tara is 560 and Gaia is 7 to 90. We give thanks to the ancestors of the land who have walked this path before us. So now call in your team connected through our higher self, connected to source. And this is where you start writing. So get your pen ready and your one piece of paper. And so I'll let you know exactly what to write. So write I and then your full name, even a middle name if you have it, or middle names. the day, month, and year of birth, the time if you know it. If you don't, just leave it. Drink some water or tea. The city you were born in, the province or state, and the country. Okay, and then you're going to write in full sovereignty. And then you don't have to worry about spelling, but I'll spell sovereignty. SOVEREIGNTY. So I'll just recap. I, and then your full name, day, month, year, time of birth if you know it. If not, just leave it. The city, province, state, and the country you were born in. And then you're writing in full sovereignty and with the witnessed authority of, and then you choose who you want witnessing your decree. So you can choose God, source, divine presence. You can name specific guides that you work with, but just write, if you write the name of the guide, just say of unconditional love. Or even if you write like the angelic collective of unconditional love. And then if there's a specific archangel that you work with, you can write Archangel Michael of unconditional love. So write any guides or angels or archangels that you work with. And then, but just write unconditional love. And then I hereby issue this decree. This is an inner child healing decree. All cords, all contracts, vows, karmic agreements, soul ties. So I'll just repeat it. I'm not sure how exactly I said it, but all contracts. So all contracts, all cords, all vows, all karmic agreements, all soul ties are expelled from my field, my body. And energetic connections with. And now we're going to list the people. So 3 people. So usually when we think of inner child healing, we know who's caused harm. It's usually, we've done usually a lot of work to clear them. And all of that work matters. We're not erasing anything. You know, all your work in healing matters. So the first person, right? I sever cords to, and then the person's full name and birth date. So day, month, and year of birth, if you have it. If not, it's okay. And just notice how your body's feeling. And then just state what you're severing. So I sever emotional abuse. I sever bullying. I sever humiliation. I sever injustice. You know, like maybe it was a parent and they never were fair. They never treated all the siblings fairly because they favored 1 or 2 of the children. So state what you're severing. So just a few things, but the kind of the overall, there's usually a theme, like I severed jealousy, with a mother, that happens a lot. If they're archon entangled, if they're reptilians, there's always the jealousy, competition, the narcissism. And then I reclaim, like, what do you reclaim? I reclaim my innocence. I reclaim my joy. I reclaim my body. I reclaim so say if you were harmed a lot, physically, can say I reclaim like my skin or my bones. Say if you had a lot of broken bones or something, can say I reclaim my bones. I reclaim my nervous system. I reclaim my voice, so if you are always silenced. And then now you're going to do the next person, so the second person. And then so put their full name and their year and day of birth and month if you have it. And then state what you're severing. I usually say we're going to do 3 people, but usually like 3 things that you're severing and then 3 things that you're reclaiming. So state what you're severing. And you can always just pause the video. And then what do you reclaim? And it can repeat, I reclaim my voice. I reclaim my body. I reclaim my money. Lots of money gets stolen in families. Inheritances get stolen. A lot of control with money. And then number 3, the third person, name them, full name, plus day and year of birth. And then just state what you're severing. And then just notice kind of how your body feels. And then what do you reclaim? Lots of children that become adults, feel very guilty because if the parent would always say how much the child was costing them financially. It's like we all know, children, people cost money. And so if they're choosing, even if they say they didn't choose to have you, well, they did an act to make sure you were born. So you're not responsible for their decisions. And if they made you pay for their decisions, that is in itself the dysfunction that you want to look at and then decide if it's something you want to sever. You're severing not the person, you're severing the cords, the entanglements, the dysfunction. And then what do you reclaim? And then I usually say to put 3 things that you reclaim. And even if they repeat, because sometimes it can repeat with multiple people. Good. And again, just notice how the body is doing. You're here with your higher self, your team of unconditional love. The space is claimed in source's name. Okay, so now you're going to keep writing. Are severed, and I put this in capital letters, are severed, SEVERED, are dissolved, 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 and nullified, NULLIFIED, nullified. Spelling doesn't matter. I'm just doing it just because. Just notice what happens to your throat. What happens to your body. Across all timelines, past, present, and future, all dimensions, 3D, 4D, 5D, and beyond. All incarnations, Earth and elsewhere. The Akashic Records. The Book of Life. The Tapestry of All Souls. The Cosmic Records with Thoth, Thoth. So just to repeat, are severed, dissolved, and nullified across all timelines, past, present, future, and you're writing all of that down. All dimensions, 3D, 4D, 5D, and beyond. All incarnations, Earth and elsewhere. In the Akashic Records. Akashic is Akashic. The Akashic Records, comma, the Book of Life, comma, the Tapestry of All Souls. Tapestry is Tapestry. And the Cosmic Records. Cosmic is Cosmic, Cosmic Records with Thoth. Okay, so new sentence, so period there. I revoke, Revoke, I revoke all permission I revoke all permission for them to, and I just put a colon, access my energy, comma, siphon my energy, Siphon, comma, draw from my field, comma, remain in my timeline, comma, or period, remain in my timeline, period. So I revoke all permission for them to access my energy, comma, siphon my energy, comma, draw from my field, comma, remain in my timeline, comma, and then, or period, remain in my timeline, period. Hold any claim on my resources, comma, inheritance, comma, and sovereignty, period. They have no claim on me and my energy. I reclaim. So just to go back, I revoke all permission for them to access my energy, comma, siphon my energy, comma, draw from my field, comma, remain in my timeline, comma, hold any claim on my resources, comma, inheritance, comma, and sovereignty, period. They have no claim on me and my energy, period. I reclaim all energy given, comma, all loyalty extended, comma, all hope invested, comma, my complete and total freedom. I was patient, period. I gave chances, period. I am complete, period. I am free, period. So going back, I reclaim all energy given, comma, all loyalty extended, comma, all hope invested, comma, my complete and total freedom, period. I was patient, period. I gave chances, period. I am complete, period. I am free, period. This severance is final. And I put final in capital letters. And irreversible. So IRREVERSIBLE, irreversible. Spelling doesn't matter. I'm just spelling it. So you know what the word is. So this severance is final, capital letters, and irreversible, capital letters, period. This decree is spoken with the full authority of my higher self and backed by source, period. And then witnessed by God, source, divine presence, your guides of unconditional love, and you can name them if you want. So an example of a guide would be like Yeshua is like the master healer. So Yeshua, which would be Jesus, or it's not religious work though. So he came as a light worker to anchor consciousness in the lowest 3D, very low 3D. And like Archangel Michael of only unconditional love. And next, right, I thank the team of unconditional love for witnessing and protecting this inner child healing decree. And so be it, period. Let it be updated in the Akashic records, comma. Akashic is AKASHIC. The Book of Life, comma. The Tapestry, comma. And the Cosmic Records with Thoth, THOTH. So let it be updated in the Akashic Records, comma, the Book of Life, comma, the Tapestry, comma, the Cosmic Records with Thoth, period. And just breathe. You're getting there. Just breathe. I claim this in Source's name. So it is declared, period. It is done, period. It is sealed, period. It is irreversible, period. I am not of their realm, REALM, meaning I am not part of the materialism of 3D, the material archon, reptilian realm. and then period. And this realm has no claim on what I am, period. Claimed, sovereign, period. No vacancy. So I claim this in source's name, period. It is declared, period. It is done, period. It is sealed, period. It is irreversible, period. I am not of their realm, period. And this realm has no claim on what I am, period. Claimed, period. Sovereign, period. No vacancy, period. Signed in sovereignty, SOVEREIGNTY, comma, signed in sovereignty, and your full name, today's date, and the time, your signature, and then write, it is done, so be it. So signed in sovereignty, comma, your full name, today's date, and the time, right? The time right now, and your signature, and then it is done, period, so be it, period. Okay, so now you might feel different sensations in the body, but drink some water, drink some tea. And you're going to read it out loud 3 times. And it's important that you speak it out loud because your voice holds frequency, and our voice has been what has been blocked. You can stand or sit. And then, why 3 times? So there's the 3 is like spiritual law, like the Trinity. And the Trinity has a power to it that breaks resistance. And also it creates like an amplification. So each time you read it, it amplifies and increases in frequency with your full voice and your full power. Even if you feel tired and weak, it's still your full voice and your full power. So our voices create sound, which is power. And then we're going to speak it with authority. You are commanding. You're not asking. You're not begging. No. And then 3 times, because notice how your body feels each time you speak it. And each time it is spoken, you're amplifying its power, but you're mostly what you're doing is you're breaking the resistance. And then again, just notice how your body feels. And then, so pause the video until you do that. Okay. And it will feel repetitive, and you might hear the conscious mind go, oh, this is so boring, or oh, this is so repetitive, or I don't know, those are the words that popped up. And just notice it and just go, yeah, but I'm still doing it. I'm still moving forward. Okay. And then when you're finished, come back. And now we're going to burn the physical transmutation. So we're going to burn it. So hold it in your fireproof, get your tongs ready. And then you're going to hold it over your pot. You're going to light it. And then you can light this corner and this corner and this corner, all 3 corners, and then just hold your piece of paper with your tongs, and then just put it over your pot as it's burning. And then it's paper, but it's only 1 piece of paper, but it can smoke a lot and the flame can go quite high. So just hold it. And then when but let it go if you don't want to hold on to it and it feels scary, just let it go. let the paper go, and then it will burn in the pot. So, and then as soon as it burns, if it doesn't burn all of it, make sure everything is burnt. So watch it burn. Is the flame tall? Does it burn quickly? Does it burn slowly? So you can burn the corners or you can burn the center, whatever feels good. And then just do it safely. It's just one piece of paper, but it can create a lot of smoke. And so that's why I say do it in the kitchen, because then you have the fan, or you could open a window, and then you also have the sink there that's close by. Um, and then you're going to sprinkle the ashes with salt, with sea salt, just a little bit, take a pinch, and then just um, put some sea salt. It's like works as a sealant. And then you're going to only put the ashes in the toilet, and you're going to flush the toilet, and then rinse your pot, and then dump that water a couple of times into the toilet. And then just notice how you feel, how you feel in your body. And then make sure that all the ash has gone down the toilet. And if something doesn't burn, or it just relight it safely, and then just command the name is released, I'm free, or the description of whatever the description is, I am free. I release, the name is released, or this is released, I am free. And then just remember your team of unconditional love are witnessing, and your records are being updated as you speak. And you're witnessing the burning, you're consciously participating, so it's not just a ritual. It's not just, you know, you're declaring it, you're doing it, you're speaking it. It's done. It's basically sovereignty in action. You're not being saved by an external force at some time by being good, right? So empaths, light workers, it's like, but I'm so good, and I'm not lying, cheating, and stealing. And it's like, but I'm so innocent. And this isn't about you being guilty or innocent. This is about energetic interference. And you're saying, I do not want energetic interference anymore. And the people that might have caused a lot of harm, they might be Archon entangled, or they might be, part of the dark triad or the reptilians, but we don't need to know any of that. Like we don't have to get into the details of, we just have to look at their behavior and how they treat you and how you feel in your body. That's it. And people that love you, they will not harm you. And if they do, they will apologize, and they will want to make amends for causing harm. So after you do this and you rinse the pot a couple times and put the water in the toilet, make sure all the ash has gone down the toilet, then wash your hands. And then, have an Epsom salt foot soak, go for a walk outside, if it's daylight and it's safe. You can put your feet in the ocean, you can go swim in the ocean, or have a shower, or have a bath, and have a bath with Epsom salts. So the ocean is medicine. The sea salt is medicine. If it's safe and you're somewhere where the weather's good. And then let your body process the release. The interference are like layers. And so maybe these layers have been there for decades. And then rest, take a few days to integrate. Usually, I say 3 days. And, don't do another decree. Just give yourself a break for 3 days. I know I totally go and do stuff. So I've already done like the intensity. So I just always see, how is that going to feel, you know? Um, but I've had people that have done decrees that have needed a couple months in between doing another decree, right? So just trust the timing. I've had other people that are like within 4 days, they're ready for the next one. So trust your own timing, trust your body, and notice the shifts in your body, and then write down any changes in a journal. And you will be surprised actually when you go back and look over your journal. You will be surprised about what you have written in your journal, and you probably won't remember the details. And then write your dreams as they come in. If your dream comes in just before you wake up in the morning, it is not a dream, it is a message from your higher self. And so write it down because it will, you know, the dream message will kind of disappear, fly away. It just it just happens, it's like a very illuminated, and then it just kind of dissipates. So, but if you write it down, then you don't have to worry about remembering it because you've already written it down. So, just some things to notice. You might feel exhausted, and then massive energy comes back in, so you're surprised, but actually you felt exhausted, but then actually a massive energy burst came back. So it's like your energy is returning to you. You might feel lighter, and then even maybe physical weight or body can shift as well. And then emotional, just notice if there's grief that comes up. And grief sometimes can be with relief. It's like you feel sad, but relieved that it's done, or relieved that something has shifted. And then you might also just feel complete, like, good, it's done. And then, with the intention that this clearing, the energy clearing, is to help the body stabilize in 5D, because you're not going to be energetically constantly yanked around and then yanked to low 3D into the fear and the guilt and the shame, the anger, the sadness, the low vibrations of 3D. And then because this is inner child healing, sometimes people in your family, they rely on you kind of not having boundaries or not having energy, or you definitely aren't here to have your sovereignty, right? They kind of treat you like a refrigerator. They just take whatever they want when they want it. So there might be some family backlash. But usually, if there is, the person is archon entangled. So they're, without naming names or without focusing on the names, just focus on how they're treating you. And then, they might just call excessively, like they don't even know what you've done, but they need to see you now. And then you can just be like, okay, yeah, I will, I'll see you. But, if it's not an emergency, I'll, see you in a few days. Just always take care of yourself first. And they, if that severance created this panic in them, it's because they have been siphoning your energy and relying on you staying, their job might be to keep you in that low vibration of fear. And then you can always just, they call it the gray rock, where you just minimal responses, kind of boring, not reactive, not explaining, not teaching, just neutral. I'll get back to you in a few days. Right? You're an adult doing this decree, so you just protect your peace, basically. And then boundaries, don't answer calls or don't engage. If you don't feel like, you don't have to answer every call, you can answer in a few days. It's might be different. Maybe you've never done this before, but you could, start now. And, no guilt. Like, their reaction is not your problem. Like, you're not doing anything. You're just clearing your energy from your body. You're clearing interference from your body. You're healing your inner child. Your inner child might have been screaming for decades, because the inner child will never let us sacrifice ourselves, ever. And maybe you'll have like nightmares or attacking dreams, or, just write them down, so you can bring them into the light, into consciousness. Physical symptoms might come up, you know, technology disruptions, just do the technology decree, claim your space in source's name, keep salting and spritzing, your space. It smells good. It's like nice peppermint. And then, just a daily affirmation is I am sovereign. The decree stands. Cords are severed. My team of unconditional love protect me. And trust the process. If they're freaking out and they didn't even know what you did, that kind of says everything in itself. And then don't redo it unless a new attack happens. And then you'll see who kind of, if anybody attacks you, you'll know that they're the ones that are difficult. And there's a lot of passive aggressive behavior as well, or procrastination, right? Like, yeah, so just notice and then notice how your body is and then just write it down. And then just keep affirming, I'm not of their realm, which is I'm not from the 3D materialism, archon entangled realm. That's what you're saying, to understand why would you want to affirm this, but I'm not of their realm, right? You want to anchor and stabilize in 5D consciousness. And then, so you can affirm, I am not of this realm, and this realm has no claim on what I am, right? Because it will always try to get you back to fear and shame and guilt. And you're just saying no. All right. So as we close, let's end here. Notice how your body is responding. Just allow the releases to come through. Oops. Okay, so let's end here. Let's close the space now. We give thanks to Source, our higher self, our guides of unconditional love, and Gaia, New Earth. Thank you for the love, the wisdom, and protection that you have shared. May all energies from this session continue to support for the highest and greatest good of all. We're sealing the energy and closing the space. We now seal this space in divine golden light. All energy work is anchored and integrated. The space is now closed with much love and much thanks. Only Source's golden light remains and unconditional love. Thank you for being here. Take what lands, leave the rest. With much love and much thanks. See you in the next one. I'm always on YouTube Live. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll get updates of when I'm going to go live. You can ask questions or give feedback. Come say hi. And then there's more information on my website. All right. Good job. Breathe. Okay, thank you.